Modsaw. New arrow saw. Let's take a look. What the heck? Okay. Not sure what. Let's see here. Oh, okay. All right, pieces coming off already here. Let's take it out. Okay. All right. All right. Let's see how it's. That's it. That's what's in the box. Nothing's left in there. What's this? Look at that. It's got my name on it. Maybe a gift. There we go. Jonathan. Thanks, Jonathan. Okay. All right. So here it is. Modsaw. Not really sure what most of this does yet. Stay tuned. All right, got the Modsaw unboxed. Had a few minutes to tinker around with it and figure out how to set it up, how it works. So let's go over it. This arrow saw is a piece of aluminum strut and 3D printed motor housing, arrow squaring device, I guess, for lack of a better term for it, and your shelves for the arrow, and you got your built-in rollers. The kit comes with a couple of different hold down pieces here, one on the end that's obviously printed to the dimensions of the end of the strut there, and it's got a second foot that slides into the end of the rail. I guess you could position this wherever you want and use this as another hold down. I think it would kind of make sense to have it, you know, somewhere up here on the other end, since this is the foot. Since this has the foot on this end down here. So, starting off, everything was shoved down here, as you saw when I unboxed it. So I just moved some things around to try to figure out how to go about using it. It seems pretty well built, actually, for 3D printed parts. I wasn't really sure what to expect. You know, we do some 3D printed parts at work, and the ones that we, you know, some of the stuff we use, it's pretty solid. Some of it, well, it doesn't hold up all that well, but I guess it kind of probably more depends on the shape of the parts and how much stress they're seeing. But these all look sufficiently well built, sufficiently thick. And I think they'll do the job just fine. These rollers are actually, these bearings actually work really well for an arrow spinner. One thing I did notice right off the bat is the end that you would put, you know, you would put the nock end of your arrow here, and it doesn't have a spot for your nock. So you're going to have to cut your arrows with the nock out. So really the measurement you're going to be getting with this is going to be a carbon to carbon measurement, not how you would traditionally measure throw the nock to the end of the carbon. That's okay, you'll just have to keep that in mind when you're cutting arrows. I don't think that's going to be a big problem. So you can see this arrow here. This is one of my daughter's arrows that we haven't cut yet. It's a full length, so it's 32 inches. I have confirmed that on yardstick here. Okay, here we go. We got end to end 32 inches. When I line this arrow up, and I have adjusted this so that it just barely is touching the blade. It's not bending the blade over. Our measurement on the tape is off ever so slightly. I guess, I'm kind of going for the very center of that arrow to be centered up. And when I measure it with calipers, the battery's dying on my caliper here. You're just gonna have to take my word for it. You can see here that it's not perfect. It's about 50 thou. It's about 50 thou is what I was trying to show you there with the measurement. But anyways, I don't think that again is a big deal either. Probably just add my own mark there to be a little bit more accurate with the measurements on it. I haven't cut anything with it yet. It does come with a power supply. It's a 12 volt motor, 5 amp power supply. It's a really quiet motor. That's it. Power switch right here in front. Got the spinner set up here. Works pretty well. And let me grab an arrow with a point on it and kind of illustrate that a little bit better. You can see if you line up just kind of look over top of that line, give you a reference when you're spinning your arrow. It's pretty nice, works pretty well. And you can adjust the distance on these rollers. If I flip this over, everything's got little thumb screws on it. You can just loosen them and slide up and down the rails. Little Modsaw logo. This, I guess, is just a stabilizer foot here. Your other roller. Here's your reference line. Your squaring post here. And then this is a dust shroud with the vacuum adapter on it. And then the motor housing itself. On the front, you've got the shelves for the arrows. And same thing, they're just everything's thumb screws. They're all easy enough to adjust. Obviously you kind of have to adjust it from down here so that you aren't, it doesn't really want to move if you're pushing on top because it's going to want to torque over. So you push down low and it moves just fine. Everything's pretty smooth, works pretty well. This squaring device, I'm not really sure how well this is gonna work out. I did tighten it down pretty good. It's got a little bit of flex to it. I mean, I'm not really reefing on it. I mean, I'm pushing kind of hard, but not really too hard. I did really have to tighten this screw down because it was pretty loose at first. But I think it would be okay. I think it'll work out. Also, I'm pretty sure you're gonna want to have this adjusted. This first one adjusted pretty close when you're squaring an arrow up so that you don't get a lot of flex in it right there. So it's got sandpaper discs in there, very similar to the G5 arrow squaring device, kind of in theory, with light pressure. It's not moving that post. It should be okay. I'll tell you what though, you buy it directly from their website, from the Modsaw website. It was $130 shipped. It was free shipping. It took about a week to get here. But hey, I mean, that's not too bad, I don't think. I mean, just the squaring, just the G5 squaring device is what, $50. So you're getting a pretty good quality spinner, arrow spinner setup, squaring device, the saw, I'd say it's worth it. I'd say it's worth it so far. Obviously I haven't cut arrows with it yet. We'll do that here. I've got a damaged arrow we can cut down. Got to cut my daughter's arrows down here too, but I got to measure her up for it before I cut them. So we can run it on a scrap arrow and see what kind of a cut we get. Let me get the vacuum set up and grab the arrow, and we'll give it a go. Alright, I went ahead and mounted this up on my homemade draw board here just to give it a nice stable platform. I didn't want to screw it right down to the worktop. So it's pretty sturdy now. I think it'll definitely be easier to work with it mounted, screwed down. And this is just that single foot that you add and the two on the end, and it's very sturdy mount now. Not moving around at all. So here's broke arrow. We're gonna go ahead and just cut it down. I got it measured out to 21 inches. I'm gonna do it without the vacuum for the first cut, just so we can kind of see what kind of a mess it makes, how the motor sounds, all that. I don't think we'll be able to really tell how the motor sounds when the vacuum is running. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. Didn't even make much dust at all. So let's take a look at that cut. There we go. Pretty clean cut. Pretty square. Didn't tear it up. No burrs. I guess next we'll square it up on our squaring device. Feels pretty smooth there. I guess it's going to be hard to tell if it's actually square or not just looking at it, but that's a pretty clean looking end there. So there we go. Modsaw. I think for the in your basement guy like me, I'm not cutting hundreds and thousands of arrows a year. I'm a DIY archery guy. I'm of the mindset that if you're going to have tools to get a job done, you need to be able to maintain them, and that's why I have started to get my own archery equipment. Man, presses are expensive, arrow saws are expensive, draw boards, everything, all this stuff is expensive. It's just another expensive hobby. I don't know why us guys have to have the most expensive hobbies we could possibly find. I'm just glad I'm not snowmobiling anymore. So I'm happy with the purchase so far. Seems to be a pretty high quality unit for really something that's 3D printed and assembled onto strut. I had a real similar idea of building something like this for myself, but definitely not this nice. I was just going to use some strut and some angle bracket to mount a Dremel cutoff wheel and come up with a shelf system for it. But this is much nicer, and I don't think it's a bad purchase at all. I don't think you can go wrong buying the Modsaw, especially if you're not going to be using it in a pro shop. I don't think it's a pro shop grade tool by any means, but for the DIY guy, this thing seems to do pretty well. Time will tell, and I guess if that changes and it falls apart on me, I'll let you know. Thanks for joining me.